Hello, friends. It's Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, April 24th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. We have quite a bit to go over today on day 56 of the Iran war. It continues to drag on. Here now. So, U.S. Central Command says they've restricted 34 vessels now. Yesterday was 33 from transiting the Strait of Hormuz. We have all these details for you. What is going on with the Strait of Hormuz? There's going to be no peace talks there in Islamabad, Pakistan, as Witkoff and Kushner were sent there. Iran says they're not showing up for negotiations, so there will be no peace talks today. Sadly enough. We're going to cover all this, the rhetoric coming out of the White House, the rhetoric coming out of Iran. Iran says they got their finger on the trigger. They're ready for the largest missile barrage, to launch the largest missile barrage in history. So it could kick off big time at any time here now. We have the State Department admitting that, I'll read you the exact quote from the State Department, while admitting that we are in this Iran war for aardvark land. And so that can end any and all debate about it, because we'll cite right from the State Department here now. We have another Lego propaganda video today. We have a couple AI videos roasting Trump as per usual. The Justice Department is rolling out firing squad executions now. The Pope had words about that. We got technocracy news. We have public health news. We have economic news and more geopolitical news as the genocide in Gaza continues. The ethnic cleansing program in Lebanon continues. It's all quite horrific. All right, let's get to this day in history. We have a lot of news to get to. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Let me check this out. What do we got in the chat quickly? Ruckus says, Boiler Room goes live tonight on alternate current radio. Be sure to tune in. Be sure to tune in to Ruckus Boiler Room on alternate current radio. All right. Let's see. What do we got here? What does Max say? Someone told me to shut up in Weaponized News chat room. Really? That's what Max said. Don't take it to heart, Mac. A lot of people are jerks on the internet. All right, let's get to this day in history. And don't be telling people to shut up. Who are you to be telling people to shut up in our chat room? Whoever's saying that, you know what I mean? Anyhow, I wouldn't take anything people say on the internet personally, because there's a bunch of real a-holes out there. You know what I mean? And probably just trolls. Trolls just like to try to trigger you and get a rise out of you as well. Anyhow, thank you guys for tuning in, and please be cordial in the chat rooms. All right. On this day in history, we go back to the year 1288. On April 24th, aardvarks of Troyes, France are accused of ritualistic murder. And so it's kind of their Talmudic thing, as we continue to report here. 1704, on this day, we saw the first continuous published newspaper in America. The Boston Newsletter is published in Boston, Massachusetts by John Campbell. 1800, on this day, U.S. Library of Congress is established with a $5,000 allocation. 1887, on this day, we saw the last federal occupying troops withdraw from the South, from New Orleans, Louisiana there. Also in 1877, on this day, We saw the Russo-Turkish War. Russia declares war on the Ottoman Empire. 1888 on this day. 1888 on this day. Eastman Kodak was founded by George Eastman, the Eastman Kodak Company. 1913, one of the worst years in all, probably the worst year in American history, 1913. We saw the Woolworth building open. The Woolworth building opened in New York City by Frank Winfield Woolworth at the cost of $13.5 million at 792 feet, then the world's tallest building. And here it is. Here it is, the Woolworth building there at the time, the world's tallest building in New York City. Continuing here, on this day in 1916, we saw the Easter Proclamation of 1916, Easter Rising of Irish Republicans against British occupation begins in Dublin, Ireland. There, the Irish Republic, and they put out this flyer. There you go. On this day in 1917, we saw the U.S. Congress pass the Liberty Loan Act, authorizing the Treasury to issue a public subscription for $2 billion in bonds for the war, for the funding World War I efforts there. On this day in 1950, U.S. President Harry Truman denies there are any communists in the U.S. government. 1962, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, sends a television signal by satellite for the first time from California to Massachusetts. 1980, on this day, U.S. military operation to rescue 52 hostages in Iran fails. 8 die. I guess that's what I guess we've been at war with Iran since then. Since 1979, right? Sure we have. On this day in 1990, junk bond king Michael Milken pleads guilty to 6 felonies related to security fraud. In 2004, on this day, the United States lifts economic sanctions imposed on Libya 18 years prior as a reward for cooperating in eliminating weapons of mass destruction, their nuke program. And then they went on to subsequently assassinate and overthrow Gaddafi, you see. And so that's why you don't give up your nuke program, because they're going to come overthrow you, you see. On this day in 2018, we saw the Golden State Killer suspect, Joseph D'Angelo, arrested and charged with 8 murders after being identified through genealogy websites. On this day in 2021, actually a good thing Joe Biden did, in my opinion here. Then President Joe Biden becomes the first U.S. president to officially recognize killing of Armenians in the Ottoman Empire during World War I as a genocide, which it was. And on this day in 2023, Mr. CIA man there, Mr. Voice of America, son of Mr. Voice of America, I guess you should say more accurately, Tucker Carlson, was fired from the War Channel, Fox News, on this day. 3 years ago. All right. Continuing with our series here. I should have had it lined up better. Or maybe we won't. Yeah, we will, because I'll be able to get to it quick here, I think. Continuing with our series about UN Agenda 2030, Goals for Sustainable Development. We did number 1 and 2 yesterday, and now we're moving on to, oh, maybe I can't find it here. Maybe I can't find it. Thought I could find it. I see 5 and 6, but I'm missing. Well, I'm going to have to give you 5 and 6 right now then, and we're going to have to circle back for 3 and 4 because I can't find it real quick. I didn't have it queued up here. But as we march toward 2030, the UN Goals for Sustainable Development are, they explain to us how they're going to control the world and everything in it, in their Goals for Sustainable Development. Here are number 5 and 6. Apologies, I skipped 3 and 4. We're going to have to come back to that. Here are 5 and 6 by Sandy Adams. So number 5, gender equality. Gender equality here. The real meaning of UN Sustainable Development Goal 5, gender equality, used to impose contested identity, women's rights, and destabilizing social norms, the questioning of biological identity, loss of identity, erasing sex, easily morphs into transhumanism, the goal. Yep. And then number 6 here, clean water and sanitation. Clean water and sanitation introduces the notion of rationing, metering, and restrictions on private access to water under environmental regulation, increased centralized control over water infrastructure and resource, a path for regulatory expansion, and corporate privatization of monitoring systems that will limit individual access under the guise of sustainability. And then here is our segue to the news. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says, "We are in control, nothing in, nothing out."
To the regime in Tehran, the blockade is tightening by the hour. We are in control, nothing in, nothing out. Iran's battered military, the IRGC specifically, has been reduced to a gang of pirates with a flag. They cloak their aggression in slogans, but the world now sees them for what they are: criminals on the high seas.
America Navy's running around the high seas, jacking oil tankers all over the place. But yeah, they're the pirates, huh?
They don't control anything. They're acting like pirates, acting like terrorists. They're the ones who lay indiscriminate mines, who shoot at random ships, who killed 45,000 of their own people.
The government here has never provided any documentation proving that they killed 45,000 innocent protesters. They were trying to engineer a color revolution there. So this is total bullshit.
Innocent protesters in the course of weeks, their own people, they are the bad actors. The vessels that the Iranians seized in recent days, a couple of them, they're not American ships. They're not Israeli ships. They're just random ships that drove their little speedboats up to and shot at those ships with AK-47s. Anyone with a speedboat, a gun, and the wrong intentions can do that. They know that we, the United States of America, control the flow of global shipping. And we know that they know. Their real navy is at the bottom of the Arabian Gulf.
We know that they know that we know that we're the real pirates. Like, none of these guys are any good. U.S. government, Iran government, none of them. Meme of the day, thumbnail for the show here out of the Department of War. Our blockade is growing and has gone global. Dude, really? So as it says in the Constitution, we're the global police of maritime law, right? Yeah, sure. Sure. Worth protecting. Meme of the day here. Protecting a bunch of child rapers there. Yeah. They do have the big guns. They do have the big guns there. Our blockade's only growing and growing global now. So I guess the Department of War PDX says we have a global blockade going on now, which is kind of true. I don't know. If we sanction you and we say you violate the sanctions, we go jack you, man. We go jack you. But it says damn Iranian pirates, I tell you. And it's crazy. I still can't get over that Mark Thiessen neocon piece of garbage on Vox News just saying kill people. They're openly saying kill people on the War Channel, and that's perfectly fine, right? It's just like, wow, man. Wow, really?
President Trump has authorized the United States Navy to destroy any Iranian fast boats that attempt to put mines in the water or disrupt passage through the Strait of Hormuz, to shoot and kill. Our commanders have clear rules of engagement. If Iran is putting mines in the water or otherwise threatening American commercial shipping or American forces, we will shoot to destroy. No hesitation, just like the drug boats in the Caribbean.
Oh, so they're going to murder people. So that's good to extrajudicial assassinations there. So a whole lot of murder and blood on the hands of the Pentagon here. More from Hegseth. What do you do with a drunken Hegseth?
The IRGC specifically has been reduced to a gang of pirates with a flag. They cloak their aggression in slogans, but the world now sees them for what they are: criminals on the high seas.
I think that's actually how the world much of the world seeing America right now, actually. Sadly enough. So here's U.S. CENTCOM. Dude, this thing may kick off. It's looking like it may kick off like big time here again. For the first time in decades, 3 aircraft carriers are operating in the Middle East at the same time. The USS Abraham Lincoln, the USS Gerald Ford, and the USS H.W. Bush. Carrier groups include 200 aircraft and 15,000 sailors and Marines. So we got a lot of military assets there. Look at this. Meme of the day out of U.S. Central Command. So, yeah, there's a lot of big guns sitting right there. Sitting right there right now. U.S. Central Command says earlier today the blockade against ships entering or exiting Iranian ports continues. To date, U.S. forces have redirected 34 vessels. It was 33 yesterday, so 1 today. Strait of Hormuz shipping collapses to just 5 vessels in the past 24 hours. Only 5 vessels, including an Iranian oil products tanker, have transited the Strait of Hormuz in the past 24 hours, according to shipping data that came out today. For most shipping companies, they will need a stable ceasefire and assurances from both sides of the conflict that the Strait of Hormuz is safe to transit, said Jacob Larson, Chief Safety and Security Officer at Shipping Association BIMCO. In the meantime, shipping will be restricted to using routes close to Iran and Oman due to their confined nature. these routes cannot safely accommodate the normal volumes of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Larson added, the Iranian flagged oil products tanker Nikki, which is under U.S. sanctions, was among the limited number of ships that left the strait without a declared destination, according to Kepler analysis and marine tracking data today. What do we do with the drunken Hegseth? I don't know. He says that the U.S. military should get the Nobel Peace Prize every year for killing the hell out of people, I guess.
And when you fight a war the right way, the idea is on the other side you bring about peace. That is what we'd like to see the most. In fact, I once did a video about the one institution that should win the Nobel Peace Prize every single year is the United States military, because we are the guarantor of the safety and security of not just of our country, but of a lot of people in this world.
Yeah, like the Constitution says, we're police of the world, and we deserve a peace prize for killing anybody that says any different. Remember Trump, the fake puppet lady that was trying to be installed as president of Venezuela? Remember, she won the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize and gave it to Trump. Remember, it's just beyond the pale of ridiculousness here now. So this report, Trump is sending special envoy Steve Witkoff and advisor Jared Kushner to Islamabad for talks with Iranian Foreign Minister Odysee. Negotiations with the United States are canceled and put on hold so long as Iran's conditions are not met. And so they said, let Witkoff Kushner spend 16 hours to reach Islamabad just to find out Iran's foreign minister will not talk with them or anybody else. Per our hearing, negotiations with the United States are canceled and put on hold so long as Iran's conditions are not met. So did they really fly 16 hours? That's what's being reported. Sitting there. How does Kushner and Witkoff have a freaking job unless their job is to start a war? Because that's what they do. They're not negotiating any peace deals, bro. Like these dudes, if that's their job, they failed, fire them, Trump. But apparently their job is to start a war, not to end a war or keep a war from happening. Okay, latest report here out of Drop Site. They say U.S.-Iran negotiations update. President Trump told Reuters earlier today that Iran plans to make an offer aimed at resolving U.S. demands as Iranian Foreign Minister Odysee arrived in Islamabad for talks that Pakistan officials and sources related to Haaretz and Axios are focused on relaunching negotiations with the Trump administration. According to Haaretz, Odysee will present Iran's proposal to Pakistani mediators who will then convey it to Washington. Axios cited a Pakistani official saying a trilateral meeting with U.S. envoys will be assessed after our meeting with Odysee. Odysee is expected to travel from Islamabad to Muscat, Oman, and then to Moscow, complicating the timeline for any direct U.S.-Iran negotiations. Two sources told Axios that a meeting between Odysee and U.S. envoys Witkoff and Kushner could take place as early as Monday after Witkoff and Kushner hold separate bilateral talks with Pakistani mediators. So now they're like, Iran's removed themselves, right? And they're like middle it through Pakistan because you guys will probably whack us. You're not meeting the demands. You're not complying with any ceasefires. The genocide in Gaza continues. The sanctions continue. And you keep threatening everybody. And you're ethnic cleansing Lebanon as well there. An advisor reportedly close to Iran's lead negotiator Ghalibaf, said this. So it's pretty damn tense right now. Iran is prepared upon observing any signs of an impending strike to launch the, quote, largest missile barrage in history against the occupied territories and certain U.S. allied Arab countries. They're getting ready to kick this whole thing off hot, blazing again with the largest missile barrage in history, standing on standby, ready to fire. But here's how we're going to get them back, you see. We're going to ban the damn dirty terrorists from playing soccer. There's little Marco Rubio.
Nothing from the U.S. has told them they can't come. I mean, the problem with Iran, it would be not their athletes. It would be some of the other people that would want to bring with them, some of whom have ties to the IRGC. We may not be able to let them in, but not the athletes themselves. But I don't know where that's coming from, other than speculation that Iran may decide not to come, and then Italy would fill their spot. But if they decide not to come on their own, it's because they decided not to come. What they can't bring is a bunch of IRGC terrorists into our country.
What's that? Rubio doesn't want to bring terrorists here? So there's a bunch of reports. Now they're denying it, that we were pressuring the soccer, the FIFA. Well, it was the failing New York Times. Actually, they say an envoy to Trump claims he has asked the U.S. president and FIFA World Cup governing body to replace Iran with Italy at this summer's World Cup. Again, America doesn't even like soccer, dude. So I don't even get all this. It's just another scam. Another scam here. And now, of course, we're going to play the game. No, we love Iran, but they're a bunch of terrorists, but they can come play soccer here, sure. Uh-huh. All right, well, here it is. So this could put all of the BS to rest. Bruno Macias posting this. And so you can put all the BS to rest right here. On the State Department website, here it is. Here it is. Operation Epstein Fury, Operation Epic Fury and international law. And they say it right here. They say on February 28th, the United States Armed Forces launched Operation Epstein Fury and Epic Fury with a set of clear objectives to destroy Iranian offensive missiles, destroy Iranian missile production, destroy Iran's navy and other security infrastructure, and finally ensure that Iran will never have nuclear weapons. Epstein Fury, Epic Fury is only the latest round of an ongoing international armed conflict with Iran. We've been at war with Iran for 47 years. Who knew? But apparently that's been the case. As the United States has explained in multiple letters to the UN Security Council, including most recently on March 10th, the United States is engaged in this conflict at the request of and in the collective self-defense of Aardvark land, there you go, ally, as well as in the exercise of the United States' own inherent right of self-defense. So there you go. So everybody could just, there it is right there. So when they start saying blah, 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 whatever, no, the State Department says we started this war for Aardvark land right there. So that kills all the other BS out there. Okay, we're losing the propaganda war badly. Here's another one that just came out today. Explosive Media, another Lego video. You're the pirate. You're the pirate. Meanwhile, while we play all these games, as reported yesterday, over 30 million people now are predicted to go into poverty. Millions are going to starve to death due to all these games being played. Well, the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. The Justice Department to allow firing squads for executions in move to ramp up U.S. capital punishment. A report out of the Associated Press. The Justice Department will adopt firing squads as a permitted method of execution as the Trump administration moves to ramp up and expedite capital punishment cases. The Justice Department is also reauthorizing the use of single drug lethal injections. The Biden administration had removed the use of lethal injections as a method of executing people. The moves were announced as part of a broader push to step up federal executions after a moratorium under the Biden administration. Only 3 defendants remain on federal death row after Democrat President Joe Biden converted 37 of their sentences to life in prison, though the Trump administration has so far authorized seeking death sentences against 44 defendants. The prior administration failed in its duty to protect the American people by refusing to pursue and carry out the ultimate punishment against the most dangerous criminals, including terrorists, child murderers, and cop killers. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said, under President Trump's leadership, the Department of Justice is once again enforcing the law and standing with victims. That's why they continue the Epstein files cover-up. The federal government has not previously included firing squad as a method of execution in its protocol. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, 5 states currently allow executions by firing squad: Idaho, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Utah. The protocol was adopted by Bill Barr, all up in Epstein, right? Another attorney general during Trump's first term, to replace a 3-drug mix cocktail that was used in the 2000s, the last time federal executions were carried out before Trump's first term in office. Attorney General Merrick Garland, under the Biden administration, withdrew lethal injection policy after a government review of scientific and medical research found there remains significant uncertainty about whether its use causes unnecessary pain and suffering. In 2022, under Barr's leadership, the Justice Department published a rule in the Federal Register to allow federal government to conduct executions by lethal injection or use any other manner prescribed by law of the state in which the sentence was imposed. A number of states allow other methods of execution, including electrocution, the electric chair, everybody's favorite there, inhaling nitrogen gas, and death by firing squad. And so there you go. Yeah, I got a big problem with this because we can't trust this corrupt government to carry out the death penalty is the problem here for all of the Epstein class. If you're the Epstein class, and we can 100% slam dunk beyond any shadow of a doubt, you're convicted by a jury, you get full due process. I know the Department of War doesn't believe in that, but real Americans still do, I believe. And if you're convicted like that, then yeah, for being an Epsteiner and doing all that stuff they do, then you should get the death penalty. But the problem is we can't trust this corrupt government to administer it now, can we? That's the problem as they continue to cover up the Epstein files today. Today, the cover-up continues. And so that's a big problem here. Maybe we should, maybe we're going to whack the Pope. I don't know. There's reports of that U.S. intel spying on the Pope, spying on the Vatican. The Pope had this to say about it. And so there's been quite a few. Maybe the Pope needs to be sanctioned. I don't know what to do about this Pope. The Catholic Church has consistently taught that each human life from the moment of conception until natural death is sacred and deserves to be protected. Indeed, the right to life is the very foundation of every other human right. For this reason, only when a society safeguards the sanctity of human life will it flourish and prosper. And Aardvark Land saying this is hateful for the Pope saying that. We'll get to that reporting later here. I offer my support to those who advocate for the abolition of the death penalty in the United States of America and around the world. I pray that your efforts will lead to a greater acknowledgement of the dignity of every person and will inspire others to work for the same just cause. And they're all pissed off now at the Pope for saying this. So, yep, the wood chipper for him, man. If we can 100% prove it, but again, we can't trust this corrupt state is the problem. That's the big problem, to carry out the death penalty, because they could make up whatever about whoever and say, oh, firing squad them. You know what I mean? And be like, wait a minute, you guys are just as bad as or worse than whoever you're saying that bad guy is that gets the death penalty. See the problem? All right, continuing, they're ramming technocracy down our throat, and we'll come back to Aardvark's criticizing the Pope for his pro-life stance. But on to ramming technocracy down our throat here now. Post by First Lady Melania Trump. Some say she's a stepper wife, robot, clone, drone. Who knows at this point? We are not here to prepare our children for yesterday's world, but purposeful with your objectives. And remember that AI accelerates everything. And so they're ramming technocracy down our throats here. Free Thought Project, more on Palantir and Occupied Nation. Whistleblower says Palantir has taken over the U.S. government. A former executive for Palantir has publicly stated that the corporation, which he refers to as a terrorist organization, has effectively embedded itself in the U.S. government, merging the American empire, Zionist military infrastructure, surveillance capitalism, and techno-fascism ideology into a single architecture of control. And that's what it says in the Constitution, what we should do, right? Sure it does. Coleman Dreams reported a former Palantir executive recently confirmed what many have long suspected. In a public statement, the whistleblower said it plainly: Palantir intended to take over the U.S. government, and many of his former colleagues are now installed inside the federal apparatus. He called it an occupied nation. He is not alone. 13 former Palantir employees, engineers, managers, and a member of the company's own privacy team signed a letter shared with NPR warning that guardrails meant to prevent discrimination, disinformation, and abuse of power have been violated and are being rapidly dismantled. What Palantir represents is something unprecedented: the convergence of American imperialism, Zionism, techno-fascism, and surveillance capitalism into a single instrument of control. Understanding how we got here requires looking at the machine Palantir has built, who built it, and what they believe. So it's the CIA, basically, behind this, as we've covered here now. Continuing, here's from Free Thought Project, Jason Bassler. If Alex Karp had to say the quiet part out loud. It's a good clip here.
Listen up, losers. Stop pretending it's a democracy. We run things. Give up the illusion, and in exchange, we will bring you order and efficiency. Yes, we'll own you. But do you really want to be free? Trust us. We know what to do. While Silicon Valley was feeding you dope and free email, we built the architecture of empire. Welcome to our world, motherfuckers. We aren't here to protect your privacy. We are here to enforce supremacy. We are the ledger now. Every tax return, every Medicaid file, every license plate, every crossing. Your president signed it into being with a pen in March. You kept scrolling. Your politicians are empty vessels. Your civil liberties are a liability. We are done pretending all cultures are equal. We know who the elites are, we know what we are building, and we demand that you applaud the billionaires taking the reins where your fragile democracies have failed. Welcome to the technological republic. You can stop scrolling now. We already have everything we need. Try to unplug us. We dare you. Now get the...
I like when he has those little ticks and glitches, right? That's good stuff. Good stuff. More reporting here now on the Southern Poverty Lie Center. Remember this speech by Joe Biden when he was looking like some kind of neo-Nazi figure? Remember this? Yeah. Joe Biden repeatedly called white supremacy the most dangerous, most lethal, greatest terrorist threat in America. Turns out the Southern Poverty Lie Center was funding it, and Biden shut down the investigation into the Southern Poverty Lie Center. Everything was staged. The whole narrative was a hoax. I guess we can't say Whitey bad anymore. Here's old Raskin, that rascal Raskin, Jamie Raskin. Just 4 months ago, Jamie Raskin was lecturing the American people about how the Southern Poverty Lie Center needs to be relied upon to fight white supremacy. Let's watch this clip.
Now, in other times, Democrats and Republicans alike would rely on the Southern Poverty Law Center to help us keep track of the movements of violent white supremacy in the country. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been a vigilant voice in civil society against radical white nationalist violence and extremism, neo-Nazism, and other forces across the political spectrum that spread organized hate from any quarter. The president, however, wants to undermine civil society organizations and to reduce our ability to defend ourselves against the virus of racial violence. Now, in other times, Democrats and Republicans alike would rely on the Southern Poverty Law Center to help us.
They're all in on it too. They're in on the scam, you see, the feds and the Southern Poverty Law Center. Here's Bill Cooper's take on the Southern Poverty Law Center back in 1996. They've been terrorizing America for an extremely long time with their hate out of the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Joseph Goebbels would truly be proud of Chip Burlett, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which has never done anything whatsoever to help poor people with legal representation in the South or anywhere else, or with any other type of help. It is a sham, a scam, a con, through which they collect money to vilify Americans, to vilify the Constitution, to vilify patriotism, to vilify freedom, and bring about oppressive laws. The police state. The Anti-Defamation League engaged in the manipulation of Jews, spying for foreign governments, and outright treason. Not to mention the fact that they have been caught on many occasions promulgating the racist, anti-Semitic events which causes the Jews to empty their pockets into the coffers of the Anti-Defamation League. Joseph Goebbels would truly...
Is ADL next? I don't know. We've been playing the reports. They're using AI to scour the internet for any anti-aardvark hate that they're creating. There's a report out of ZBS News, surprisingly enough, about the Southern Poverty Law Center.
40 years ago, the Southern Poverty Law Center bankrupted the Klan and later recovered millions from neo-Nazi groups, with lawsuits representing victims of violence. But Tuesday, the tables turned. The Justice Department charged the organization with fraud for allegedly misleading donors and lying to financial institutions by paying members of violent extremist groups millions of dollars to act as informants.
The SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred.
Including, the indictment alleges, a leader.
You know who else does that? The feds.
Of the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, who, quote, attended the event at the direction of SPLC, made racist postings under the supervision of the SPLC, and helped coordinate transportation to the event for several attendees. But Law Center interim president Brian Fair said the group had long used informants and called the indictment a political attack by the Trump administration.
They have made no secret of who they want to protect and who they want to destroy.
You have to wonder if
Attorney Scott Frederickson questioned the Justice Department's legal theories.
Can the federal government persuade a jury that the Southern Poverty Law Center was out there funding extremism for its own purposes, manufacturing racism? That's hard to believe. Obviously, they'll have their day in court.
But there have been calls to investigate the Law Center for years. In 1995, the Montgomery Advertiser was the finalist for the Pulitzer Prize for articles alleging that the center was misleading donors and wasting their money. And more recently, critics say that its hate watch list of extremists includes many mainstream conservatives.
They'll probably blow the frickin'. They can't even. I'd be surprised if the Department of Justice actually wins the case here now. Honestly, at this point, they let off Comey, they let off Letitia James, they let off Brennan. They'll probably let off the Southern Poverty Law Center too. Here now, would not surprise me. Okay, on to Epstein reporting. The DOJ. Well, the DOJ are great heroes that are going after the hate hoaxers at the Southern Poverty Law Center, continue to cover up the Epstein files by not complying with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. You see, DOJ Inspector General opened an audit of EFTA compliance today. The law required, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the law required full release within 30 days. DOJ missed the deadline. Names were improperly redacted, documents withheld after release was declared complete, and public report is coming. A public report is coming from the Inspector General of the Department of Justice. So they're investigating themselves. We have nothing to worry about here. Here's another one of these AI videos.
It's been years since the world first learned the name Jeffrey Epstein, and still the truth remains buried. Files sealed, names whispered, questions unanswered. How did so many powerful people stay untouched while the victims were left behind? As the investigation resurfaces, one question echoes louder than ever. Who else was involved, and how far does it really go?
When I'm president, I will make sure to release every single one of the files.
Now that you're president, will you now be releasing the Epstein files?
Yeah, I'll get right onto that.
God damn it.
Miss Bondi, this is completely unacceptable. When can we expect the full release of the files?
According to my notes, you, that's when.
Please, Your Highness, please don't kick me out of the family. I'll I'll be good from now on, I promise.
Seem to be a little sweaty there.
That's never happened before.
I'm sure.
Congress has voted to release all the files.
We gotta do it.
Bomb Iran.
What the hell did we do? This is a load of crap. I want the unredacted files.
What files? What the hell did my husband do now?
And you all called me crazy!
What are we dealing with?
These are some of the smartest, most genius minds I've ever dealt with.
That's a pretty good one. Here is Kash Patel, right? Winning. He won the gold medal right here for Epstein file cover-ups. Damn, dude. They flashed it real quick, but who was Hillary? Let's see if we could scroll back here. Who was Hillary? Who was Alex? Jack Black as Alex Jones. There you go. Martha Stewart as Hillary Clinton. That's freaking hilarious, man. That's some good work there. Okay, continuing. According to a report out of Reuters, European Anti-Fraud Office opens an investigation into Lord Peter Mendelsohn over his ties with Epstein because he's accused of trafficking state secrets to Epstein. Epstein housed abuse victims in London after Met refused to investigate him, report out of UK Telegraph. Epstein housed abuse victims in several London flats after police decided not to investigate him. It has been revealed 6 women have come forward to say that they were held in at least 4 different flats rented by Epstein in the West London borough of Kensington and Chelsea. A number of the women, originally from Russia, Eastern Europe, and elsewhere, said they had been brought to the UK after the Met Police decided not to investigate Virginia Guthrie's 2015 allegation that she had been a victim of international trafficking to London. Thank you very much, police, for that. You know what I mean? The Gates Foundation is reviewing its Epstein ties as released emails raise questions for funders. They're like, but you're still going to do the eugenics depopulation thing? He's like, yeah, wink, wink. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine then, right? And so they're going to investigate themselves as well. And I'm sure they'll expose all the wrongdoings of Bill Gates, right? So the DOJ is investigating themselves. The Gates Foundation is investigating itself. The Met Police says there's no problem. So looks like law and order's coming, right? Sure. A reminder here, again, Trump administration officials or in the direct orbit of Trump that are their names appear in the Epstein files. Donald Trump himself, Melania Trump, Howard Lutnick takes his family vacation on Epstein Island. John Phelan, now resigned, Secretary of Navy. Paulo Zampoli introduced Melania to Trump. Very sad. RFK Jr., we had high hopes for Maha. Not so much. Kevin Warsh, soon to be Federal Reserve Chair. And so it's good we have our Federal Reserve Chair blackmailed by the Epstein network. Mehmet Oz. And so we do appreciate TV Dr. Oz's efforts there to try to party with Epstein. We read those emails. Elon Musk, former Doge appointee. And his job was to put technocracy in the government here now. Steve Bannon, the PR cover-up remake artist of Epstein's image. How's anybody listen to Steve? How does Steve Bannon have any credibility after that? I don't know. Alex Acosta, he was former labor secretary, Trump's first term, and a prosecutor the first time around there in Florida, that said that we can't do anything to Epstein. That's why we went soft on him, because he's an intelligence asset. I'm still saying he's a Rothschild spy above all governments. Bill Barr, of course, Bill Barr's father gave Epstein his first job as a math professor, right? And then Brett Ratner, the director of the film Melania, all listed there in the Epstein files. All right, on to public health. A reminder that this week is National Crime Victims' Rights Week. And if your family members, your friends, family, or acquaintances were a victim of the BAT protocols during the BAT times at hospitals here in America, the Betrayal Project USA is calling for your testimony and hopefully to bring some closure for you when those tragic events unfolded. Here's their website, memorial wall, documenting here and honoring all the victims of the BAT times. And so there's a bunch of, it goes on and on and on. And I sat on these calls, man, hearing these people. I just can't even take it anymore. It's just so tragic and so sad and just so horrific what they did to these people. Literally CIA level torture in American hospitals. It's just, man, oh man. Man, oh man, but there's a bunch of people that recognize what happened. And so if you out there in the audience know someone, have family members, hook up with these guys. Betrayal Project, exposing institutional betrayal. And you can submit your testimony to them about, tell them your story about what you saw, heard, and remembered during those BAT lockdown times. They're still doing God's work, in my opinion. Still pushing forward after it's been long forgotten already now, right? But they're not going to forget because their family were victims. And again, this group has the big signs. You've seen the signs, right? I showed them plenty of times. They're steadfast in their activism, and they're going 2-3 times a week, standing in front of these hospitals, trying to still warn people about the dangers that you're up against going to these hospitals. So I'm trying to word it in a way, you know what I'm saying? Well, we hate Trump, YouTube, and Putin, you see? All right. I don't think that this is not the big win they think it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't think so. Not in my opinion. But the White House says in a major win for Americans, 17 of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies are now offering the lowest drug prices in history. And the FDA just approved a new drug that cures a rare form of deafness. Mac, are you out there? Let's watch this clip then, I guess. Out of the White House.
Pharmaceutical companies representing 80% of the branded drug market have now agreed to sell their drugs.
But see, he's in the Epstein files. 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 You see, I have a hard time with all of this.
To American patients at the lowest prices anywhere in the world. Today, I'm also announcing that the FDA has just approved a new drug from Regeneron called Otarmany, a gene therapy curing a rare disease that causes deafness. And here with us is 2-year-old Travis Smith. He was born deaf.
My son went from having absolutely no personality and he couldn't connect with anybody, and now he loves music and he's able to understand me, and I can tell him how much I love him, and it just means so much to me.
We are happy to be here because it marks an important step to lower drug prices.
We have made the decision, the unprecedented corporate commitment to provide this first of its...
The cartoon, the cartoon that shut down the world. Regeneron's golden care for hearing loss for free.
Kind of gene therapy for hearing loss free to all the children in the
See, they slipped that in there quietly. Gene therapy.
United States can benefit from it.
I hope it does help that kid, and he doesn't have all these crazy side effects down the road. They've obviously done no long-term safety testing because they're Operation Warp Speed and everything. I hope it does work out. Call me skeptical, though, man. Seriously. How can we trust these bastards after all they've done? Snow chimed in. Wouldn't that make Fauci Batman? No, it was the Chinese. I can't even remember her name, but the Chinese woman. She's Batwoman. She was Batwoman. Yeah, maybe. But he's kind of big old man, right? I don't know. Yeah, maybe he's Batman. But the bad Batman, right? Don't they have like alternative universes and whatever where they're the bad guys? I think he's the bad one. Anyhow, man, Maha, we have not got the public health reform that we were promised. We've got glyphosate declared under national security, de facto backhandedly giving indemnity to Bayer Monsanto. We haven't got any real reform. I guess they tuned down the childhood miracle schedule a little bit, but then states say, F you, we do whatever we want anyway. So we haven't got the meaningful reform in public health that was promised to us as a part of the Maha campaign. Here's Bobby Kennedy Jr. Meme of the day from him. He says, Maha maxing, noun, when make America healthy again isn't just a slogan, it's a lifestyle. Your groceries look like they came from the earth, not a lab. You're ending chronic disease by taking back your health. And then TrueStream Media put out the more truthful meme here. Sellout maxing, a noun. When Make America Healthy Again isn't just a slogan, but specifically a slogan you use to sucker people into believing you were gonna go inside a corrupt system hell-bent on parasitically feasting upon everyone and try to make it stop. But instead, you just sold yourself out on everything you ever claimed to stand for at every possible turn to do its deadly bidding. And so that's actually more accurate here now, sadly enough. Stop tricking me, Snow. Tell these bastards stop tricking me. Damn it. Stop tricking me with this stuff. Man. Very sad. But yes, the Maha agenda has been sold out. The MAGA agenda has been sold out here now. Sadly enough. Indeed. And then final report on public health, and then we'll take our commercial break. A federal appeals court ruled that President Trump's declaration of, in quote, invasion at the U.S.-Mexico border was illegal, effectively clearing the way to reopen the United States to migrants seeking asylum. So we will not be getting those mass deportations, and we are also going to be taking some asylum seekers in as well. And honestly, that's the whole problem, right? If you are seeking legitimate political asylum from oppression, I have no problem with America taking you in. It's the problem is people took advantage of it. They're given a script to lie, and then we get all these people that they're not politically oppressed, they're economically oppressed. I mean, maybe that's our responsibility too, I guess, with the weaponization of the dollar. But it's just, we cannot have open borders and a welfare state, you see, because we don't have the infrastructure to support it is the big problem here now. And we need them to assimilate into America, like, learn English and like this. And it's just not working out very well. The whole way that they came across, and they're being exploited as well, trafficked. And it's a giant disaster. It really is a giant disaster here. Sadly enough. All right. And with that, let's go ahead and take our live commercial break. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself a holograph sticker, a white background sticker, and a clear sticker. Put it on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your work locker, your hard hat. There you go. We got these stickers over there. Go to weaponizednews.com/shop. Help support this independent broadcast, reporting live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. Give us that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Become a patron to the store, weaponizednews.com/shop. In the description below this video, you can become a paid subscriber through Weaponized News Substack. Again, almost everything we talk about, the links are posted at Weaponized News Substack. That's the value added there for documentation and your further research purposes. You can become a paid subscriber. We also take donations, many different ways to help support this broadcast. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, Cash App. On the front page of Weaponized News, there's a donation button, secure through PayPal. We give you many different options, many different ways to help support this broadcast. To everybody out there that is and has, we appreciate the patrons of the store, the paid subscribers, and the donors. Thank you all very much. It is much appreciated. Continue to support us, and we'll continue to give you this hard-hitting, fact-based news as best as we can, cutting through the insane amount of propaganda that's shoveled down our throat on a daily basis here now. And so that's our mission here at Weaponized News, to break the mind control. And we do appreciate your support in those efforts. Thank you very much for listening to that commercial message. Give us that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. All of that is free. Go check out the store. We got t-shirts, baseball caps, coffee mugs, all kind of gear over there. Go take a look. Shot glasses as well. So go take a look at weaponizednews.com/shop. All right. Thank you for bearing with that live commercial break. Thank you for bearing through it with me. Welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Friday, April 24th, 2026 edition. I think the big takeaway, honestly, from the beginning, from the first hour, is the fact that, hey, there is no argument. There is no debate. It's on the State Department website, for God's sake. The link will be at Weaponized News Substack, or you could just go search it out yourself. We started the Iran war for Aardvark land. I'm citing the State Department. So take all the other BS and shove it. Those are the facts, man. All right. Where are we at? On to the economy here now. We have some economic reporting. Who was this out of? Did they even cite it? Failing New York Times. A Syrian billionaire needed U.S. sanctions lifted so he could cash in on $12 billion in reconstruction contracts. In an attempt to influence American foreign policy, he proposed a Trump-branded golf course, cut Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump into a multi-billion-dollar real estate deal for a result in Albania, and had someone physically deliver a stone engraved with the Trump family crest to a Republican member of Congress with instructions to take it to the White House to get the president's attention. Trump threw his weight behind repealing the sanctions. They were lifted. The new contracts are moving, and the Trump family deals are expanding. They're going hog wild with the corruption. They don't care. That is your Trump family there. They are going hog wild with the corruption. And again, the special forces dude that made the bet on the kidnapping of Maduro, he gets charged, and he's probably going to get a long prison sentence. these jokers insider trade all day, rig up contracts, this, that, and the other, every form of corruption. Howard Lutnick right now is creating new forms of corruption that we never even thought of. He, what did he do? He overpriced the tariffs by 4 times and then bet against them, knowing this whole thing was going to fail. And it goes on and on and on. But they're the good people, you see. They get away with it. They get away with it. But your special forces dude that makes a bet, he's going to go to jail probably for a very long time. That's where we're at here in America. Google's announced a $10 billion investment in Anthropic. So maybe Anthropic has now turned to the dark side after they had this big falling out, as we reported last month with the Department of War, because they disputed the Department of War using their AI system. They say they call their language. They say taking the guardrails off, right, and then using it as using AI as autonomous weapon systems and mass surveillance, right? And it had looked like for a minute they're like, well, maybe Anthropic has a soul, a conscience. Maybe they're not pure evil. Well, it turns out, yeah, that was probably all a cover to make them look like the good guys. Now they're teaming up with Google. We hate Trump, YouTube. So there you go. We love you guys. Yeah. All right. Continuing here. Only one person has been approved so far for Donald Trump's Gold Card visa program, granting foreigners U.S. residency for a $1 million fee, Howard Lutnick said. But before he lied and said they sold like thousands of them. So everything these bastards say is a lie, a spin, a scam, a con. Remember these stupid things? Yeah, you can come to America for $1 million. Buy your Trump Gold Card. Remember that? Nicki Minaj was part of that campaign rollout. Remember all that nonsense? Oh, yeah, they sold one. After Lutnick lied and said, oh, we've sold thousands. Everybody wants in America. And they got millions of dollars. Only the millionaires come. Sure, bud. So the S&P 500 closed at all-time highs today. But sadly, well, I guess, now I don't know. When can we go after the Epstein co-conspirators? Where does the Dow have to be? Because apparently, if the Dow's under 50,000, we don't go after them. But maybe if it goes above 50, we can go after them. Not likely. Anyway, the Dow under 50 today, 49,230, with the S&P 500 at all-time high, 7,165. A little bit of the roundup. Oil, surprisingly enough, under 100, closed today at $94.87 a barrel. Gold hanging tough at like $4,708. Silver hanging in there at $75.65. And Bitcoin, to round out the major markets there, hanging tough at $77,538. All right, continuing. Governor Janet Mills of Maine vetoed legislation that would have blocked new data centers in the state until November of 2027. It would have been the first state moratorium on data centers as the AI industry booms in a circle jerk of fraud the world's never seen before. So sadly enough, there, it seems like old Janet Mills is tied into the technocracy, and Maine will not be the first state to block data centers upon her veto. Here's your fun fact of the day, reporting out of Unusual Wales. They say if you invested $100,000 in Intel the day Trump took a 10% stake in the company, that's me and you, taxpayers, U.S. government, you'd have $330,000. And they came up with this using their White House asset manager portfolio. So they're tracking it there. So yeah, you would have got the famous now $333,000 back in return if you had invested $10,000 the day Trump took a 10% stake in Intel. So everything's wonderful here in the golden age, but 70% of Americans are having a hard time affording essentials like food. I know food's overrated. Everybody should be on the Gila Monster, synthetic Gila Monster venom, right? Just do that instead of eating. What kind of Americans are you? This is golden age. TrumpRx.gov. Let's watch this report out of ZBS News. These damn hungry Americans, 70% are struggling to buy food.
More than 70% of Americans say they are struggling to pay for food, housing, and health care, according to a CBS News poll. Saturday morning co-host Kelly O'Grady.
Well, that sounds like the golden age to me. Another one, the big headlines, you panicans, we're getting all the bad guys. We're draining the deep state. Every one of their freaking indictments falls apart. Here's another one. U.S. DOJ officially drops criminal charges into Federal Reserve and its chairman, Jerome Powell. It's all bullshit. They put the big headline out, all the MAGA fake accounts. You see, Trump's getting all the bad guys. Dude, you're panicking. All this idiocy. Every one of these cases, Comey, James, Powell, Brennan. There's even more. Oh yeah, by the way, you guys, your guys' case against them is bogus, and the court kicks it out. Good job. Freaking, it's all fake. Because the government investigated itself and found no wrongdoing, you see. Okay, this report now, the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz, it's going to be bad, man. It's going to be bad. It's going to hit us all, but those in the third and fourth world, millions of people are going to starve to death because of this. Now, energy analyst had this to say, report out of drop site, Iran has Trump by the throat on Hormuz and knows it. Robert McNally, founder and president of Ripiden Energy Group and a former White House energy advisor, told Bloomberg that Iran is dug in, quote, dug in. Well, wipe them out in 5 seconds. Trump told me so. What are you talking about? And believes it is winning the standoff over the Strait of Hormuz, and that the U.S. has limited good options to respond. On Iran's strategy, their leadership is fractured, but it's fracturing. They know they have President Trump by the throat there. Their strategy is to just wait for those higher oil prices to soften up the president. On Iran's shut-ins, McNally estimated Iran has 1 to 2 months before it faces major forced production cuts, depending on how much inland storage capacity remains. Even if we see Craig, how do you say that stupid island, Krog Island, fill up and stop loading tankers, they still have to be able to avoid or delay shut-ins if they have inland tank farms. On U.S. export restrictions, McNally put the probability at 35% if gasoline approaches $5 a gallon this summer, calling it counterproductive, but not ruled out under political pressure. On U.S. domestic relief measures, McNally called the administration's fuel waivers a drop in the bucket against what he described as the largest oil disruption in history, representing between 15 to 20% of the global oil supply. On what the U.S. should do militarily, McNally said Washington needs to begin active suppression of Iran's fast boat attacks, mine-laying vessels, and coastal missiles. Something, he said, should have started on day one of the war. He noted the reported Trump kill order via True Social on the fast attack craft are a step in the right direction, but said Iran appears to still be laying mines. we've already won the war 56 times. We've destroyed their navy, their military, done a regime change. Yet here we are. With the Strait of Hormuz essentially closed. On how Hormuz ends, McNally said, there are only two ways out: a ceasefire that guarantees free navigation, or U.S. military campaign to forcibly reopen the strait. He estimates the latter would take at least 4 weeks if you start it and stick with it. Can they even do it? By force. It's looking like not so much. Not so much here now. All right, on to the AAA national average for a price of a gallon of gasoline here. We're at $4.05 today, over $4, and that was a major threshold. It did go up a little bit today. You see there by about 3 cents. Yesterday was at $4.03. Today, $4 and almost 6 cents. Right there. So went up about 3 cents today. They're killing us in California again. I'm walking everywhere. $5.88 per gallon, and it's like $6 everywhere. Diesel's like $7.50. It's real rough. It's real rough for us. And again, the difference there in the price between the national average and California is state regulations, taxes, and the like. So we're hurting real bad. We're hurting real bad in the golden age. But again, eating's overrated. Just take your Ozempic and everything should be fine until you suffer the long-term side effects from that drug. Trump administration places economic sanctions on a major Chinese-based oil refinery and approximately 40 companies and tankers involved with Iranian oil shipping, according to a report of the Associated Press. On to our geopolitical news now. We're moving along quite well today. Meme of the day from the Department of War. American resilience. While others may waver, Americans remain. We define endurance. Yep. Meme of the day. China. Beijing denies gift from China. Allegation by Trump. China's foreign minister today dismissed a claim by Trump that an Iranian flag cargo vessel intercepted by U.S. forces was a gift from China. The U.S. said it had fired upon and seized an Iranian cargo ship attempting to bypass its blockade. Iran's military stated the vessel had been sailing from China and warned of retaliation. Trump on Tuesday told CNBC the ship, quote, had something on it which wasn't very nice, a gift from China, perhaps. I don't know. China's foreign ministry rejected the remarks. China opposes any accusations and associations that lack a factual basis, foreign minister spokesman said. Normal international trade relations between countries should not be subject to interference and disruption, he added. Maritime security sources said on Monday that the container ship Tuska was likely carrying items Washington considered dual use. That was a report out of the Cradle. New Delhi condemns Trump's comments, calling India a hellhole. So shocking, I know, right? New Delhi harshly criticized President Trump's April today after he shared comments on social media describing India and China as hellholes. So that we're at the point Trump goes around and insult the world, It's just like, dude, it's tired, it's played out, it's not funny, and you're really starting to piss everybody off at this point. It's ridiculous, stupid, and bullshit, honestly, and destroying our political capital faster than we can earn it. Little Marco Rubio, Secretary of State and EU Trade Commissioner, signed critical minerals agreement today to produce and secure critical minerals favoring non-Chinese suppliers as we're cranking up the Cold War against China in many different sectors. Syria's unelected president, Mr. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, now a reformed, good-looking man, according to Trump, Syria's President al-Shara urged EU to curb aardvark land violations, citing threats to stability. So Mr. Al-Qaeda man, sounding antiseptic, they're taking a bunch of, they're constantly doing incursions, chipping away, stealing Syrian land. So is Mr. Al-Qaeda al-Shara going to let him do it? Is he going to let him do it? Speaking in the Cypriot capital following the EU summit, he called on European partners to take a firm stance against escalating aardvark land military aggression. But I thought he's a good guy now. What? Now even he has his limits of aardvark land tyranny. Now, according to Levant 24, he characterized the ongoing aardvark land ground incursion, airstrikes, and near daily breaches of Syrian airspace as blatant violations of the 1974 disengagement agreement and international law. Well, we've already established they don't give a damn about international law. He emphasized that these repeated assaults do not only threaten immediate security, but actively sabotage the nation's recovery and reconstruction efforts, which serve as a foundation for any stable partnership with the EU. Sounds antiseptic to me. He had more to say here. Syria's president confirms commitment to the 4 Seas initiative that bridges Syria with Asia and the Gulf and Europe, and looks forward to the May 11th meeting with the EU to foster cooperation and partnership with our friends there. A plane, they're importing some people. I'd be careful here. I'd be careful if I was these guys. I'd be careful, but they need to replace the people they genocided there in Gaza. So a plane with 240 immigrants from India community, Bieni Minash community, landed in Ben Gurion Airport, where they were welcomed by aardvark land ministers of integration. They're alleged to be descendants from the biblical tribe of Manasseh, one of the 10 lost tribes exiled by the Assyrians over 2,700 years ago. Their claims weren't taken seriously by Tel Aviv until the 1990s, when an aardvark rabbi first began helping them begin their immigration to aardvark land. Yeah, I don't know, man. Check these guys out. Are they going to see you as a goyim? I got a sneaking suspicion they may. So they're going to use these guys as a labor force sounds all sketchy to me. I wouldn't be so happy if I was them, but I hope it works out for him there. Netanyahu says he beat early stage prostate cancer, sadly enough. I know. And I don't believe the word he says. They'll just say whatever for sympathy. It's kind of their thing. In a statement he shared on social media, alongside the release of his annual medical report, Bibi, shadow president of America, Trump's pimp, age 76, said a malignant tumor in its early stage had been detected during a routine checkup. He explained that targeted treatment had eliminated the problem and left no trace behind. The medical report noted that the prime minister is otherwise in good health, sadly enough, and confirmed he received radiation therapy for early stage prostate cancer. However, neither the report nor Netanyahu specified the timeline of treatment. Aardvarkland's longest serving prime minister also said he had postponed the publication of the medical report by 2 months to prevent Iran from spreading false propaganda against Aardvarkland. Sure, bud. Sure. So we should have some sympathy there for Mr. Genocide, the most corrupt man in the world, Bibi, shadow president of America. Mohammed Rad, head of the Loyalty to the Resistance parliamentary bloc in Lebanon, had this to say about the ceasefire, because there is no ceasefire. It's ridiculous. He said, any supposed truce that grants the enemy a special exemption to open fire or carry out any movement or field action within Lebanese territory is not a truce. You don't say. The Lebanese authorities should be ashamed before their people and withdraw from what has been called direct negotiations with the Zionist enemy. Any official contact or meeting between the Lebanese party and Aardvarkland during the ongoing war between Lebanon and the Aardvarkland occupation force will not have any Lebanese national consensus whatsoever and will constitute a clear violation of the Constitution. Well, they're just a bunch of damn terrorists. They're like, they shoot you in the face. This is our ceasefire, damn it. And they're like, stop tricking me. He's like, I'm not tricked. You're shooting me. There's no damn ceasefire. It's where we're at. It's where we're at, sadly enough. And they're leveling. They're continuing the leveling campaign there. Southern Lebanon, earlier today, blowing everything up, leveling the place. There's another one. These are out of the cradle. Another one here, video, leveling the place. Oh, but there's a ceasefire. Oh, I see. Looks like a ceasefire to me there. Sure. Sadly enough here now, since March 2nd, according to the Lebanese Ministry of Health, 2,491 Lebanese have been killed by Aardvarkland aggression and 7,719 Lebanese injured now in the Greater Aardvarkland project going forward. Very, very sad state of affairs. Aardvarkland's Scorched Earth campaign continues to target medics and civilians in southern Lebanon. Aardvarkland's systemic targeting of Lebanese medical teams and civilian infrastructure has reached a new level of depravity, as documented by several United Nations agencies since the onset of the March 2026 escalation. Aardvarkland forces have executed a deliberate double tap strategy against first responders, murdering at least 100 healthcare workers and wounding hundreds more. UN experts highlight that these are not accidental strikes, but part of a calculated Aardvarkland playbook designed to dismantle the foundations of Lebanese society. International observers have labeled the widespread destruction of Lebanese homes and neighborhoods as democide, death by government, a tactic aimed at making southern Lebanese and parts of Beirut, southern Lebanon and parts of Beirut entirely uninhabitable for their indigenous populations. The UN Human Rights Office reports that over 1.2 million people have been forcibly displaced under the threat of indiscriminate shelling and illegal blanket order evacuations. This strategy of collective punishment was most visible during the April 8th onslaught, where Aardvark land forces struck over 150 locations in a single 10-minute window, killing over 300 people. The deliberate nature of these war crimes is further underscored by Aardvark land's repeated attacks on journalists and international observers. Even UNIFIL peacekeepers have not been spared, with reports of Aardvark land tanks ramming UN vehicles and soldiers destroying surveillance cameras to blind the international community to their crimes. That's a report out of the Cradle. Indeed, indeed. Oh, turns out the old failing New York Times is finally caught up with the news here now. Mint Press reports, the failing New York Times admits Aardvark land is ethnically cleansing southern Lebanon. Yeah. How long have we been reporting that here at Weaponized News? Since they started doing it. I'm glad the failing New York Times is finally catching up to reality here now with the rest of the world. First library built in Gaza, genocide, officially opens its doors. And so this, if they're doing big conspiracy theories over there in Gaza now, they're opening libraries. You want to talk about terrorism? This is it. The Phoenix Library is officially opened in Gaza City, marking the first time a library has been established and integrated during an ongoing genocide. This is bad, man. Maybe nuke Gaza over this. Nuke Gaza City? I don't know. But they're giving them books. They're giving them books. I know. They're all Mein Kampf, sure. But they're giving them books, right? Remember all the fake stories? All these Hamas, all these terrorists, they all got Mein Kampf. It's just like, give me a freaking break, right? Anyway, continuing here. The collection began with only 70 books saved from the ruins of northern Gaza and has since expanded to 10,000 volumes. Many of these books were recovered from the rubble of bombed out residential homes and meticulously cleaned of ash for public use. And so here's their little library of hate and terrorism right here. Reading is a hate crime. And so there you go. They're trying to do something there. Bless their hearts, man. Bless their hearts. I'm sure they'll blow that place up anytime. But they're trying to do something. Trying to do something there in Gaza. Man, oh man. Continuing here, Human Rights Watch has formally called on Lebanese government to accede to the Roman statute and grant the International Criminal Court immediate authority to investigate crimes committed by Aardvark land on Lebanese soil since October 2023. The demand follows the targeted killing of Allah Akbar journalist Emil Khalil by Aardvark land forces 2 days ago on Wednesday. The Human Rights Watch is pushing for an ICC-backed probe to ensure accountability for a pattern of attacks on the press. Good luck. Yeah, they've killed over 250 there in Gaza. And now they're whacking the Lebanese. Here's a report from on the ground about the occupation, the yellow lines. This is Courtney Bonimage, reporter from Drop Site. Let's take a look at her report here. As they take the zone, right? We showed you the map and extend it all the way out to the sea because they found some natural gas out there.
I'm reporting to you from occupied South Lebanon, quite close to the yellow line area. You can see behind me. This is an area implemented by the Israeli army in order to illegally occupy more Lebanese land. The strategy has also been used by the Israeli army in Gaza under the guise of being a security belt.
Let's go back there. So these are the deals. We showed them before, right? This is the yellow line, and there's kids playing right here, and they're like, well, you're too damn close, and they shoot little girls in the face, is what Aardvark Land Army does with their yellow line.
Being a security belt. It is not a security belt. It is a land and resources grab. The security belt includes rich farmlands, rivers, streams, and notably the Kana gas field because the security belt extends out into the ocean. The Israelis are committing multiple war crimes in this current situation. My friend and colleague Amal Khalil was reporting on this, and she paid with her life when the Israeli army executed her 2 days ago while she was doing her job. Americans, this is so frustrating to keep having to say this. While you're being forced to choose between groceries and gas for your car to take you to a job that likely doesn't even offer you health insurance, the government is sending your tax dollars to kill unarmed civilians, journalists, medical professionals, and children.
Yeah. Yeah. Sadly enough, she better watch out. They're going to whack her. They're whacking UNIFIL, man. They killed this dude. They're killing the UN troops even. Oh, they're terrorists too. UNIFIL has announced the death of an Indonesian peacekeeper who succumbed to his injuries sustained during an Aardvark Land assault nearly a month ago. And so this poor soul is now passed away. Rico P there from Indonesia, sadly enough. And so they know no limits to murder, death, and destruction. Now, do they? They're whacking the Palestinians now in Gaza continually. And so the genocide continues. Death toll from massacre in Gaza earlier today, in the last 24 hours, raises to 7, according to the Mint Press report here now. And they got video of it. They whacked this. They blew up this vehicle, killing 7 in Kianis, southern Gaza Strip. Quads News reports. There you go. Sadly enough, the genocide continues. More drop site news. They're adding to the death toll. At least 13 Palestinians have been killed in Aardvark Land attacks across the Gaza Strip in the last 24 hours since early this morning. The attacks include killing 2 children. According to the Iranian Red Crescent Society, as of late April 2026, over 132,000 civilian units have been damaged or destroyed across Iran. Mer News Agency and other Iranian outlets shared the following updated figures. Total civilian units, approximately 132,982 reportedly hit. Residential properties, at least 100,000 housing units damaged. Commercial centers, more than 2,500 commercial units impacted. Medical facilities, 339 medical centers hit, including hospitals and clinics. Hundreds of schools and universities also reported damage. And we've been reported on it the whole time here. Argentina to accept 300,000 aardvarks to create a mini state there now. A confidential report from the Argentine Secretariat of Strategic Coordination and Assistance in Emergencies has been leaked to the press, outlining the plan to receive 300,000 aardvarks to Argentina. Here's that report. After Milei had the big party over there celebrating Aardvark Land Independence Day and couldn't get unstuck from the wall and did his whole dog and pony circus show up on stage singing and the whole routine we've covered here now. Here is this report. They may look to flee to Argentina a la Nazi Germans.
Se ha filtrado a la prensa el informe confidencial catalogado bajo el expediente número MS26. El documento coordina la preparación de un plan preventivo para acoger hasta 300.000 refugiados israelíes en Argentina. Este llamado plan preventivo nace como respuesta directa a la guerra impulsada por Estados Unidos e Israel contra la República Islámica de Irán. Y el documento arroja un sesgo alarmante. El operativo humanitario y la logística estatal están diseñados única y exclusivamente para acoger hasta 300.000 ciudadanos del Estado de Israel. A pesar de que la guerra afecta a toda la región, el plan del gobierno omite por completo ofrecer refugio a poblaciones iraníes u otras víctimas civiles del conflicto, enfocando todos los recursos del Estado argentino en una sola nacionalidad, Israel. Conocidos los detalles del informe, vemos que no se trata por tanto de un plan humanitario, sino de subordinarse a las necesidades del Estado de Israel. Lamentablemente, hay más factores preocupantes para añadir a la situación. Se ha filtrado a los medios documentación que revela la existencia de un proyecto urbanístico aprobado por el Ministerio de Obras Públicas argentino para crear lo que los argentinos llaman un country, una urbanización privada en la Patagonia, en tierras quemadas por el fuego, llamado Barrio Privado Josué, profeta de Israel. Este barrio privado va a tener nada menos que 100.000 hectáreas. 100.000 hectáreas. Esto es 4 veces la superficie de Gaza.
Yeah, remember they burned down a bunch of Patagonia? Yeah, it was just climate change. Nothing to worry about there. Nothing to worry about there. Here's a video of Trump's spiritual advisor, Paula White, and why we should trust that they're all following the Lord. Where she's getting off here talking about the devil.
Nails for you. Baby, if I gotta get down and crawl. And when you get ready to move in the fullness of God's anointing, you've got to conquer positionally anything that would be over you. If you don't pull down the stronghold, it doesn't have to be everything, but the devil can have one area of your life. And if you don't get victory in that one area, he will hold you back, because positionally you have to conquer. That's what a stronghold is. The devil has a strong hold on you, and you can prophesy, and you can have money, and you can be good looking, and you can have favor, but if you've got one area that the devil's got you, you won't be able to move into the fullness of the anointing. And until you get salted, you won't be able to have that anointing released, because you'll be too sensitive to go in the gutter to get the glory of God. But God said he's raising up some people that aren't so sensitive, that aren't so weak, that aren't so sissy. Oh my goodness, I wish I could preach it like I was. That if they got to, don't you let this dress fool you. Don't you let the
Looks like the devil's got a grip on her. Christian Zionist pastor John Hagee says Christians have a spiritual responsibility to stand against aardvark hatred. This was posted on Hotspot. Let's take a listen.
God's love for Israel is revealed in Scripture. It says, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you, in Genesis 12:3. That is one of the most powerful verses and one of the most powerful chapters in all of the Bible. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. America right now is flooded with anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is Jew hatred. It's in our government. It's in our Ivy League universities, which are swimming in a sewer of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism, my friend, is a sin. Sin damns the soul, and you will answer to God for it.
He leaves out the part how the UK government and the city of London Rothschilds created the modern day state of Aardvark land. Not mentioned there in the Bible. Here's a rabbi attacking the Pope. Says the Pope has dripping blood on his hands for criticizing their genocidal behavior.
Pope Leo, who in his sermon before Easter had the audacity and the brazenness and the cruelty to say that all of those who wage war will be turned away by God and that their hands are dripping with blood. How dare he? His hands are dripping with blood because he makes no distinction between good and evil. He makes no distinction between the barbarians of Hamas, the genocidal maniacs of Tehran, and the noble and brave soldiers of the state of Israel who are defending civilization itself. To lack the moral insight to see a difference between good and evil is to disqualify yourself from religious leadership in your essence and in your soul. Only a religious leader who has lost his soul can say such a thing. And we state today to refute that they are Kedoshim Utahorim, they are holy and they are pure, those who fell because they fell in a just war. If the brave soldiers of the IDF, together with the armed forces of the United States, are not fighting the genocidal evil of Iran, there would, God forbid, be another Holocaust.
But they're the ones doing the actual genocide. And Bibi funded Hamas. So, because they're having a fight about if it's a just war or not. There's another one of these lampoon videos. This is a pretty good one. Donald Trump using my religion. Of course, parody takeoff of losing my religion, right? REM, right? Anyhow, take a look at this.
He is not me. The lengths that I would go to cover up the files. Oh no, I have tweeted too much. It's a setup that lets me in the White House, that lets me in the White Rose, using my religion. Always trying to pull the wool over you, 'cause what's a sheep without wool? No, I've tweeted too much, haven't done enough. I thought that I saw you laughing, I thought that I saw the lips cry. I think I thought I saw a genocide. Tweet praise be to Allah while I'm practicing Kabbalah. I'm choosing my redactions. I got them kissing my ass just like I kissed the Wailing Wall. Oh, no, I've said to
my tweets. Rules for thee, but not the elites. Secret societies. You'll pray to God, but we'll play God. Now I've said too much. I thought that I saw you laughing. I thought that I saw the last cry. I think I thought I saw genocide. That's the American dream. That's the American me. That's me in the White House. That's me in the white rose, using my religion. Always trying to pull the wool over you. Guys, what's a sheep without wool? Oh no, I've tweeted too much. Haven't had enough. I thought that I saw you laughing. I thought that I saw the millions cry. Oh, I think I thought I saw a genocide. That's the American dream. Dog, you cry, drone strike, you die. That's the American dream. Just a dream, just a
Sadly enough, a pretty accurate parody there. Donald Trump. What's the name of the band? A Flock of Eagles using my religion. Make albums great again. Where are we at here now? We're almost wrapped up here. Are they using, or were they using, it appears so. It appears they were using weather weapons there against Iran and the region, causing a very long drought. Let's hear from EPA head Lee Zeldin confirming the toxic chemicals in geoengineering spraying programs. But it's a lot more than just the chemtrails, as we'll see here. But let's hear from Lee Zeldin first.
Concerned Americans have urgent and important questions about geoengineering and contrails. The American public deserves and expects honesty and transparency from their government when seeking answers. But for years, people who asked questions in good faith were dismissed, even vilified by the media and their own government. That era is over. The Trump EPA is committed to total transparency. As a result, I tasked my team at EPA to compile a list of everything we know about contrails and geoengineering for the purpose of releasing it to you now publicly. In other words, I want you to know everything I know about these topics and without any exception. Instead of simply dismissing these questions and concerns as baseless conspiracies, we're meeting them head on. We did the legwork, looked at the science, consulted agency experts, and pulled in relevant outside information to put these online resources together. Everything we know about contrails to solar geoengineering will be in there. That means anyone who reads through this information will know as much about these topics as I do as EPA administrator. To anyone who's ever looked up to the streaks in the sky and asked, what the heck is going on? Or seen headlines about private actors and even governments looking to blot out the sun in the name of stopping global warming? We've endeavored to answer all of your questions at the links on your screen. In fact, EPA shares many of the same concerns when it comes to potential threats to human health and the environment, especially from solar geoengineering activities. The enthusiasm for experiments that would pump pollutants into the high atmosphere has set off alarm bells here at the Trump EPA. Prior to now, EPA has never been this proactive to raise awareness about concerns with geoengineering and to stop this activity from being scaled up. This is what it looks like when government actually listens to the will of the people and doesn't try to squash it. You can always trust this administration and this EPA to take your concerns seriously, answer your questions honestly, and carry out the will of voters with integrity.
And the geoengineering programs continue. So there you have it. Looks like they were hitting Iran real hard with these geoengineering programs. Iran's Kabul embassy shared a strange tweet. Here's what it said. It said, Iran, after destroying a secret center for cloud seeding and climate manipulation in the United Arab Emirates, saw everything change completely overnight. After the secret center was ended, they blew the thing up. The weather map in the region completely reversed. Now it's raining every week in Turkey, Iran, and Iraq, with temperature degrees dropping by 5 degrees. I don't know if what they say is true, but there's a change that's noticeable to everything. And the temperature degrees in Iraq hadn't been like this for decades. And they put up this little map showing you the precipitation there in the region. So it turns out once you're not geoengineering the place with where they're using radar systems, HARP systems, the geoengineering, the chemtrails, all these different tools, plus some other tools we probably don't even know about, right? They're using all of this to cause a drought in Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, that area there. And so Iran, what happens after the war with America? What happens in 3 months? Well, Turkey's dams have never been so full in nearly 15 years. Iran's dams have not been this full in a half a century. Iraq's dams have not been this full in a quarter of a century. The Euphrates and Tigris rivers have begun to overflow. Lakes dried up, have been brought back to life. Lost creatures have started to return. And the reason was the radar base that Iran destroyed. And here's some images of all of that water now. Isn't that just a strange coincidence? So yeah, having water, sadly enough, is antiseptic. Here's a flashback of a clip posted on the hotspot of Iranian water expert claiming that U.S. and aardvark land possess the ability to cause a drought and have been employing weather warfare against the region for 40 years. Turns out, yeah, all this is true.
این کشور اسرائیل و کشور آمریکا که مدعی این کار بلده و این کار انجام میده و با ما سر دشمنی داره 40 و چند سال آروم داره این کار انجام میده. من مطمئنم و به قاطعیت میگم. چرا؟ چون از تصاویر ماهواره میبینیم ابر جهتش تغییر میکنه. هزار بیان بگن آقا ما اینا طبیعیه، نه طبیعی نیست. وان پر آب، درش ارومیان خوش شده.
این تصاویر ماهواره دقیقاً چی رو نشون میده؟
ابری که از سمت مدیترانه میاد بالا، مثلا باید داخل کشور ما بشه، آروم از سمت ترکیه میره وارد آذربایجان میشه و میره بالا، میره سمت ارمنستان. این کشور اسرائیل.
Imagine that. Snowing there. Snowing in Iran. It is now snowing in Iran during the middle of April after a decade-long drought. Imagine that. So there is your climate change. They're actually doing giant geoengineering, weather manipulation programs using weather warfare against the region. They're using it against all of us. Better believe it. So it turns out, I know, shocking, aardvarks lied again. I know. It's pretty shocking. Italian peacekeepers replaced the desecrated Jesus statue in southern Lebanon after Aardvark land falsely claimed to have done so. The IDF posted that they did it. Italian UN peacekeepers have put up a new statue of Jesus Christ after the previous one was desecrated by Aardvark land occupation forces in the south of Lebanon. Town of Debil. Prime Minister Meloni said on Thursday, she said, I would like to thank the commander and the entire Italian UNIFIL contingent for deciding to donate a new crucifix to the Lebanese village of Debil. Meloni said the images of the statue being handed over to the community and placed in the very spot where the statue destroyed a few days earlier by an Aardvark land soldier once stood our heartwarming and send a powerful message of hope, dialogue, and peace, she added. This comes after the Aardvark land army falsely claimed it had replaced the statue. They just can't stop the lying, can they, here now? So there you go. It was actually the Italians, not the... See, we reported on this. Turns out, not so much. It was actually... Oh, yeah. But turns out it was actually Italian UN peacekeepers that did it, not the IDF. Okay. We're almost done here. Smotrich says, Finance Minister Smotrich out of Aardvark land, he says the West Bank settlement expansion has full backing of the United States under the Trump administration. And so that's quite horrific. It's illegal, the annexation of the occupied West Bank continuing now. In remarks to the Jerusalem Post, Smotrich stated that all construction regulation and security measures in the territory are aligned with Washington, including direct coordination with Trump, little Marco Rubio, and of course, Ambassador Huckabee, while Trump has not publicly endorsed full annexation, it has been supported in practice on the ground, and Smotrich expressed hope that aardvark land sovereignty over the entire West Bank will be achieved. Smotrich, who heads up the Settlements Administration, confirmed that settlement expansion policies are part of a broader government strategy backed by Bibi and approved through cabinet decision. Since 2022, more than 51,000 illegal housing units have been advanced in the West Bank, most in areas under full aardvark land control, as settlers growth continues despite widespread international criticism. He also pointed to declining global pushback, claiming that what once triggered condemnation now proceeds with less resistance. The minister also linked Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank to Iran-led access and reiterated calls for expanding aardvark land control beyond current borders, including proposals to fully conquer Gaza and establish settlements there as well, and added that aardvark land needs larger borders in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria to build out the greater aardvark land project. All right, that's all the reporting we got for today, as the natives over here are getting restless, I hear. So let me just give you the latest headlines from Iran International before we sign off here tonight. Iran's Artichai, U.S. envoys head to Pakistan. Tehran says no talks on the agenda. U.S. envoys Witkoff and Kushner to travel to Pakistan on Saturday for Iran talks. For what? They say there's not going to be any. So we got to keep playing this game. Keep playing this game. Iran and Pakistan foreign ministers meet. So they're using Pakistan as the middleman. Maybe we'll get some positive out of this. No, we won't, because aardvark land will not stop stealing Lebanese land now. IRGC Mosquito fleet maintains threat amid elite fragmentation. U.S. Navy tests long-range maritime strike weapon. And that's the headlines out of Iran International up to the minute here now. And then closing it out with some headlines from Al Jazeera. Cautious optimism, they're calling it, from the talking about the potential peace talks, where Iran says they're not even going right now. They're in Islamabad. Cautious optimism. What? Okay. U.S. sends envoys to Islamabad. Yeah. Yeah, we covered it. Let's hope they meet up and end this whole thing. I have serious doubts that's going to happen. And again, that's that Lebanese parliamentary man said. There's no ceasefire. How's there a ceasefire? They're still firing. All right, friends, over to the Odysee channel in the chat there. I see Gur Deep Huffman. Thank you guys for tuning in, chatting up there. Gur says wood chipper is the most effective way. F the Pope. They say just another corrupt, just corrupt as the rest of the cabal. But they have to play this game, you see. They have to play this game on the global stage. They say what lapel pin? I didn't notice his lapel pin. Raskin there, little rascal Raskin. Organized non-aardvark love is illegal. Peter Mandelson. Gates front of Q. Yeah. You know it. You know it, Gur. Let's see. more glyphosate than you could shake a stick at. It's more like MAGA movement bought in as opposed to being sold out. Maybe both. Yeah, maybe both. Maybe both there, girl. I would say probably it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. They bought in and sold out, so they love it. Apparently, I don't know. They act like they do. Maybe it's just all social engineered, astroturfed on the internet. That could also be true. Didn't Mr. Trump state that the United States had plenty of self-sufficient oil resources? Why big hike? The Rockefeller oil oligarchs are price gouging us. Here in California, it's the state government, and so we got everybody price gouging us every which way you could look. The state, the oil oligarchs, name it, because they want to social engineer everybody into electric cars here in California to have the kill switches and the surveillance and the whole technocracy is the agenda here. Not even hidden for those with eyes to see in California. They openly say, we don't want you driving gas-powered vehicles. Deep says, I'm very proud of my hatred of aardvarks. Anti-septicism is the highest form of altruism. Aardvarkism is a misanthropic death cult. Yeah. Silver iodine is a highly effective. They're talking about the geoengineering. Yeah. You can make full cloud drop its load early and deny rainfall to larger areas that normally get it. Having said, indeed, that's exactly what they're doing there. They've been controlling the weather. Deep said they've been controlling the weather in many ways for nearly 100 years. Yeah. In different experiments all over the place. Was it Operation Popeye? I mean, that's well documented, flooding the hell out of Vietnam, right? And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Huffman says it's been an English tactic for years. Rain shadow effect, Deep said. Yep. All right, friends. Thank you for tuning in on the Odysee, the X, Kick, Twitch, Facebook, Bitchute, YouTube. Let's go over to some of these comments on the Rumble and YouTube. Shout out to Fat Bob, Denver, Mac on the YouTube, Snow on the YouTube. Let's see here. Denver says emails in the Epstein files suggest that Jeffrey Epstein maintained a business relationship with Kerbus Capital Management, a private equity firm formerly led by the Department of Defense Deputy Secretary. Wow. And he posted the link there. Thank you. Thank you for that in the Rumble chat, Denver. Snow said on the YouTube, Gates is Bugman. We know that. Maha maxing pads. Are we sold out or bought in? A combination of the two. I don't think Maha is bought into any of this. Honestly, the real Mahas. Some of them have bought in, though. I've seen them. Snow says you need to make an aardvark sticker. I have a couple designs. Simon and I were thinking about it. Simon's the main architect of the aardvark theme, let's just say. So, yeah, we may make up some of those. Fat Bob says he gets all his Viagra from jumprx.gov. Oh, man. You guys crack me up. You guys crack me up, man. Looking through the comments here. Wes on the YouTube says $6.15 US dollar equivalent cost in Vancouver. Man, they're gouging the hell out of us all, man. And then as we continue to report, it passes through the supply chain. The shippers are paying these high inflated diesel costs, and then it's passed on to the consumer, raising the price of food, everything that's shipped, right? It's just crazy, man. They're killing us. AW says aardvarks suck. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. They had an all farm, pretty cool for generations. Max urging people to write poems. He's A-dub. Keep memories alive. Yeah. Mac is a prolific poet. He is. He sent me a lot of his work. We read a couple of his poems here on the air. Mac is a prolific poet. We'll have to plug. I don't have it squared up today, Mac, but on Monday we'll plug your Substack. I see you posting over there, so people can go check out your poetry. Snow said this is literal blasphemy. It is. Old John Hagee, come on, man. Pamela, I wonder if the AI was asked to dance like Rick Roll. So ridiculous, right? So freaking ridiculous. All right, friends, that's all we got for today. Oh, by the way, on Sunday, I'm not going to do the show. Thomas from Alpha Mega Energy is he's going to give a presentation that he gave to the I forget the name. He gave it to some health group. He's going to give that presentation here on Weaponized News. I don't believe we'll be on YouTube, but we'll be on I'll be behind the scenes producing it, and we'll be on all other channels except for YouTube, because they get a little bit triggered about questioning the official public health narrative. And so we don't want to violate their community guidelines. We will not be broadcasting on Sunday morning on YouTube, but on all the other channels we will. And of course, it'll be up for on demand as per usual. So look for that presentation on Sunday morning. And with that, thank you to everybody for tuning in this Friday. As always, do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Friday evening. Have a great weekend. Let's pray for peace. And we'll see you guys back here on Monday for more.